Alright, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our Tensorflow course and we're still doing our understanding bits or visual transformers module. Let's have a look at what we went over today. And we still haven't made it to any code yet. We're still just taking notes. So let's pick up with some light reading and see where we are for the day. Yesterday we left off with the RNNs, with the other RNN blocks. So today we're going to pick up where we left off from there. So after doing this, we can see that each and every block in our target RNN pays attention to each and every block from the source RNN. Let's have a quick look at that really quickly, a little quick recap so I can show exactly what we mean so we don't get confused. So what that means every one of these blocks here are going to get fed into this block, and then every one of these blocks are going to get fed into this block. But before we move forward to go to the temps, every one of these blocks are going to get fed into this, and then this is going to make a computation. And as a whole, this is going to get fed into the temps. So all of these get fed into this block here, and as a whole, this gets computed and then gets passed into the temps. Now, not only does temps get this computation of all of those blocks, gets computation inside here and gets passed to this, but it also gets its own attention layer of all of these blocks that gets passed into it also. So just make sure we're keeping up. The first block here, it gets an attention layer. The attention layer gets an input from each and every one of these blocks, and then gets passed to the first block. Now, all of those blocks here that gets passed into the first attention layer and get passed into the first layer gets computed as a whole, and they all get passed into the second block. The second block gets all of this information, and it also gets its own attention layer with all of the inputs from these blocks also. And then the same thing happens for the third block, the fourth block, and the fifth block. So basically, that's what we're saying when we're doing that. Let's go back to our reading. So we were here. After doing this, we would see that each and every block in our target RNN pays attention to each and every block from the source RNN. That's what we mean when we say that. Then when we read through the paper entitled Neural Machine Translation by Jointly Learning to Align and Translate, this is a famous Badenu. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. At our paper, you can see some of the attention maps, and these attention maps we can see or we can observe and clearly see which words align most with other words. So basically, we were going through some demonstrations and watching some demonstrations through our instructor screen and seeing different maps and things like that, and seeing the different effects that they have on different images, how we can use them and how we can modify them. Now, at this point, we are going to move on forward from the attention and have a look at the self-attention map. I went down too far. 1 second. Let me see if I can go back up just a little bit here. All right. To better explain the self-attention, we'll consider a whole different problem, which is that of sentiment analysis. So we want to have the model taking an input and classify the sentiment of the input. We want to know if the statement about the weather is a positive or negative one. So we have the model which takes in inputs like this. The weather today is amazing. And then we have this model here. Let's go down here. You can see this model we have here. We want this model to output or tell us whether the sentiment is positive or negative. You can see we have a 0 or a 1. That's going to stand for false or true. Now notice for the self-attention, we are not going to need the RNN blocks. We're going to pass what we're going to pass from the source input to the model are vectors. So let's go back into this really quickly so I can show you this. We're not going to use any of these blocks here. We're just going to use these straight directly as vectors. These inputs are going to be vectors directly. We're not going to get converted into these RNN blocks into vectors. We're going to use these as vectors directly, and we're going to pass them into this model here that we're working on. Now, basically, we did take a little bit more notes, but I'm not going to move too far, too fast. Like I said, we are diving into new territory, so I want to make sure we're keeping pace and we're keeping up with everything we need to learn. So I'm going to leave it there for today. But of course, I will pick it up tomorrow, and I will keep you posted every step of the way. But for now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.